Dear friends, welcome to Think BRICS. These days, breaking news, top world news are coming from the Middle East. Israel and the United States' military aggression against Iran has shaken the geopolitical landscape. But it is not an exaggeration to say that global community is paying close, special attention to Russia, China, and India. Today, I have again a pleasure to host Mr. Pravin Sawhney, Director of the Force Research Institute in Delhi, India. He is renowned for his honest and unbiased analysis on geopolitics, military, and defense issues. Mr. Sawhney, welcome to Think BRICS.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us today. So let's start with the fresh news of today. The first thing I read today in the morning. I am curious to know your opinion on the fact that now India is allowed by the United States of America to buy Russian oil again, but just only for 30 days. What's your take
So
on
I,
this?
I think, yeah, I think this development is very important, not only for the world to understand, but for the people of India also to understand that all this talk that goes on in India about having a strategic autonomy is actually not true. Because when you talk of even a partnership, the partners are equal. And here, what is being done is that the American Commerce Secretary, Scott Bessent, has publicly said that we give 30 days waiver to India. Because why 30 days? Because we've heard President Trump say that this war in the Middle East will last 4 or 5 weeks. So, keeping that in mind, because what is very clear also from this statement is that the Americans understand and believe that at least for the duration of the war, when Iran says that the Strait of Hormuz will not be operated, see, they have officially not said it is closed, but nobody is going there. So the Americans understand, and all this talk that the President Trump was talking about, that we'll send our warships that will escort the tankers, then obviously somebody's told him that this is not workable. But coming back to your point, the point is very simple. This is unfortunate for a country like India, which is 1.4 billion people, a country with enormous potential. And this is the way the American Commerce Secretary talks about India. So it just makes it very clear that India actually does not have a strategic foreign policy, a strategic autonomy in its foreign policy at a time when the world is multipolar, at a time when America is not the sole great power. When there are three great powers in the world, it is multipolar. So I think overall, it is a very sad news when I see from the Indian perspective.
Thank you very much. In your recent video, your recent commentary suggests India has broken trust with Iran. From your perspective, is this a temporary diplomatic friction or strategic realignment? And what are the long-term implications for the international north-south transport corridor? For India,
See,
it's very
when we,
important.
yeah, see, the whole thing is when I say that India has broken trust with Iran, let's see from Iran and India's perspective what I mean. As far as Iran is concerned, it is it is not even a temporary break, because I believe Iran has already expressed their displeasure. I believe that Iran is still happy to do business with India. I believe that Iran is a grounded regional power. I believe that Iran is a responsible member, full member of BRICS. So, from Iran's perspective, it was only about conveying a displeasure, which they have done. And but from India's perspective, it is something entirely different. Why it is different is because India has already invested or committed to invest $350 billion in the Chabahar terminal of Iran. And under pressure from America, now we don't want to do anything with that. And the proof of that is that in the 2026 budget of India, no allocation has been made for the Chabahar port. The reality is that on the ground, India has already bought the port equipment worth $150 billion. That means we are happy to abandon that. And not only that, let me make this point. When Prime Minister Modi was in Israel recently, it was Prime Minister Modi who discussed with Prime Minister Netanyahu the possibility of opening the IMEC, which is India Middle East Economic Corridor, Europe Corridor. So India is already very clear that it will go by the American diktat. It will have nothing to do with Chabahar port and with the international north-south transport corridor for the time being. I'm saying time being. Why? Because as long as the Modi government is in power, I'm sure if tomorrow there's another government, they'll do a rethink of the foreign policy. But for now, India wants to focus on the India Middle East Europe economic corridor, which is the impossibility.
So that's it's very interesting information actually about that agreement between India and Israel. But what word they're going to use? Haifa?
No, see, as I said, we do not know. The war has just started. As far as Iran is concerned, Iran has made it very clear that it wanted peace, but it has been pushed into a war, and now it will not negotiate. It will fight the war. And this war, with each passing day, I believe the geopolitics of West Asia will change.
Yeah.
So, how it will shape up after the war, we do not know. But what is a certainty is that Israel's stature will not be the same, it will diminish, in my opinion. And therefore, this IMEC economic corridor, this economic corridor that India is hoping for, is a non starter now and even after the war is done with.
100% agree that the world will not be the same after the beginning of that aggression against Iran. But is strategic autonomy still a coherent doctrine for India, or it is becoming a rhetorical cover for, I don't know, selective alignments?
See, I want to make 2 points here. In my understanding, when we say strategic autonomy, that means a country should have full freedom to pursue its foreign policy options, the development path. So, in this multipolar world that we have today, there are only three great powers, which is America, China, and Russia, which can exercise strategic autonomy. But having said that, as far as India that keeps saying that we have strategic autonomy in our foreign policy, and I was surprised and shocked that just yesterday, the American Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau, he is in India and at a forum which is supported by the Ministry of External Affairs and in the presence of the Prime Minister of India, he made it very clear that the foreign policy of America is A, America first, and B, he said that if the trade deal between India and America it goes through, he says we are very hopeful it will happen. Then it can be the basis for unlocking limitless partnership between the two countries. In other words, the trade deal is about India's commitment of $500 billion bilateral trade by 2030, given that today the bilateral trade is a mere $139 billion. So the point is that the Americans from our soil, in presence of the Prime Minister, are saying that if you want a relationship with us, then trade deal is the basis. So where is the strategic autonomy? I can't see it at all.
Just a carrot and stick approach. What's one underreported so-called development in India's foreign policy that you believe will shape the next 3-5 years?
Actually, it's not one. I'll give you three, which are underreported developments, which are shaping the India's foreign policy under the Modi government. And Modi government has the term till 2029. So yes, for the next few years, there are three things, as I said. The first is that India's foreign minister is a career diplomat. He's not a strategist. So he only knows to do what needs to be done after getting the instructions. The world has changed. The world is multipolar. What India needs is a strategist who can rework the foreign policy of India. For example, take the case of Russia. Russia realized when the war started in Ukraine that now it will be no longer west, it has to be east and it has to be south, which is why in 2023 they came up with their foreign policy concept, this concept of foreign policy of the Russian Federation, a document signed by President Putin. So that is about strategy. Now, that is not happening in India because the foreign minister is a career diplomat. This is my opinion, and nobody talks about it. The second is that now we know very clear that America and Israel, they are joined at the hip, and India and Israel, they have a ideological affinity. The governments there. Now, this is another underreported event. And the third, of course, is that there are, because, over the unipolar world, lot of personal and bureaucratic linkages are there with America. And they are hardly get they reported because they are the ones which are framing the Indian foreign policy. So I've given you three reasons now.
Thank you. But well, we start mentioning Israel. Your recent video suggests that India is geopolitically irrelevant in West Asia. Given that fact that Prime Minister Modi visited Israel just 40 hours before US-Israel strikes on Iran began, do you see this as a, I don't know, missed opportunity for de-escalation, or it's a deliberate signal of alignment from your
Right.
government?
So you see, when I say geopolitical irrelevance, what this means is influence in the region that is being geopolitically irrelevant. So the India's influence in Middle East, or what we also call West Asia, it has become completely, it's not there. And the reason for that is that India had a sensible policy of neutrality.
Mhm.
India supported the Palestinian issue.
Yeah,
India supported the two-state solution. And yes, India started diplomatic ties with Israel in 1993, but we kept a balance between the two, which is no longer the case. In fact, this visit of, in my opinion, the visit of Prime Minister Modi on 25th of February, and the war started on 28th of the month. I think that is a clear signal of India's foreign policy alignment with the Americans as well as Israel. So when it is because of this, I say that the way the war is going on and the way I see the things will change, or the map in West Asia will change. I see India becoming more and more geopolitically irrelevant in West Asia.
I see. Um, well, actually, frankly speaking, when we saw Prime Minister Modi, Prime Minister Modi's behavior in Israel, as his speech in the Senate and etc. And then after that, a few days after the war began, me personally, I thought, how is it possible India invested, as you told, a lot of money in Iran, in the port infrastructure and the north-south transport corridor. It's impossible that they cannot protect their interests in that area. But if you say right now that there is, I don't know, compensation somehow from the Israel, now they can build another transport corridor. But actually, I guess, and that we see how the comments that are coming from our viewers. No one expected the India's stance in this situation like it is to align with Israel. But India imports around 60%, more than half of its energy from the Middle East or West Asia, and it has around 9 million citizens. It's a huge number of people in the region. Again, with Israel now as a key defense partner, military partner of Iran, historical energy connectivity partner, how sustainable is India's both sides approach when those two states are in active conflicts? I mean, with
See,
Iran.
we started our talk by talking about that now Americans have given permission to India for 30 days to buy oil from Russia. So Russia has no problem. Russia is a dependable source, a dependable friend, and they have said yes. I mean, you want to take from them, take it. You don't want, don't take it. So it's okay for Russia. They'll give it. So it will come from there. And once the war ends, as I said, that Iran, I do not see getting defeated in the war. Iran also will welcome, okay, take it from us. So they have no problem. And as far as the 9 million people are concerned, what is happening is that all our diplomats, then the foreign minister, then the prime minister himself, they are talking to all these sheikhs and small kingdoms there because our workers are working there. A lot
Mhm.
of people are working, a lot of investments are there, basically to see about their safety. Now, see, they cannot ensure the safety because they are themselves in trouble. They can't have their own safety because of the US bases that these Gulf cooperation countries have. They are getting bombed, and they are themselves saying that look, there is a problem, and they are accusing the Americans that look, your air defense systems, your interceptor missiles, which you have kept for the protection of the bases, you are shifting away from here and giving it to Israel. So they
Mhm.
have a problem. And as far as I understand, something like 20,000 Indians, they are stranded there because the connectivity is not there because of the war. So nothing much can be done about them. So yes, there is a big problem at hand. I mean, these are the problems of war. But India, I think, because of its foreign policy, has certainly compounded the problems because of, as I said, that with each passing day, I assess that India will become more and more geopolitical irrelevant. It will lose its influence in the region.
It's shifting from to be an object from to be a subject, or vice versa.
See, India always had a lot of influence, relevance in West Asia, as I said, because of its balanced policy. Now that policy is become imbalanced and grossly imbalanced, and now we have tilted so much to a side, which actually is the reason for all the problems in West Asia. And it is not that these kingdoms, I mean, the Abraham Accords,
Yeah.
everything, I believe you can throw them out of the window. In fact, what I foresee is that even these Gulf cooperation countries, in fact, four of them, they have already said that they'll be considering working together to see what to do about the investments, the American investments there. And very soon they'll be talking amongst themselves
Mhm.
about a collective security architecture because the bases on their soil, which was supposed to provide safety and deterrence, are actually a vulnerability for them. They are a big problem for them because Iran is publicly telling all these kingdoms that look, we are not sending the missiles, we are not hitting you, we are
Yeah.
hitting the US bases. It so happens that they are on your territory. So it's a vulnerability. In fact, the Americans have created vulnerability for all these sheikdoms, the small kingdoms whose focus is not war. I mean, take the case of Saudi Arabia. Saudis are very clear that as far as they are concerned, their focus is their Vision 2030.
Yeah.
And they do not want a war with Iran. They do not, they just want to focus on their vision. But they've been also caught in this war.
Well, the world will be the same again. Um, Netanyahu's Hexagon framework positions India at the center of new Middle East alignment that explicitly excludes Pakistan, Turkey, and Iran. Is India being instrumentalized in a sectarian tinged regional architecture, or it is skillfully leveraging this moment to expand its own strategic footprint, if possible?
You know, this thing said by Netanyahu on 22nd February
Mhm.
to the Knesset, days before Prime Minister Modi visited Israel, which was on the 25th of February. This is complete nonsense. This hexagon of alliances. Why I say it is nonsense is because there is no clarity in it. You see, when you talk of hexagon, you are talking of six nodes.
Mm.
And what Benjamin Netanyahu himself has said is that India is a node, Israel is a node, and the whole hexagon is supported by America. And beyond that, everything is very nebulous. That there'll be some countries from the Mediterranean, maybe Cyprus, then some country from Africa or Southeast Asia, some country from East Africa. So this is all nebulous. The whole idea, in my assessment of Netanyahu, was that even before Prime Minister Modi visits Israel, to project India as a great power, that you are so great, we are also great, and America is also great, so let's have a hexagon of alliances. So, knowing fully well that India does not believe in military alliances. But the idea was to give the sense of a great power, India being a great power. So I do not take this seriously at all. It has no meaning. It is a non starter. There are no linkages in this.
So you think it's just a mode to flatter Prime Minister Modi
Yeah,
of the word
yeah,
great, coalition of great powers.
yeah. No, that is
Ah,
what it looks like. Nothing else. I mean, the very fact that in the Knesset, a medal was given from the Knesset, which is now we understand is a medal given for the first time to a head of government. It was created for the first time. So this all is about trying to flatter the Indian Prime Minister. It can't be said. I mean, you can't take all these things seriously, really.
well, you say that alliances. India is not a part of any alliances, but I can't stop thinking about Quad,
No, see, Quad is,
especially in this moment.
yeah. See, Quad, I do not believe is an alliance. India remains a strategic partner with America, but it is a de facto alliance, if I may say so. It is a de facto because it is a non-NATO ally also. So it can be put like that. And see, when Prime Minister went there to Israel, in addition to discussing with Netanyahu the possibility or the revival of the India Middle East economic Europe economic corridor, he also discussed with him the possibility of reviving West Quad,
Hmm.
the Western Quad. And Western Quad is IUU2, which is India, Israel, then UAE and US. That these four countries work together. So this is not an alliance. I do not see this as a military partnership. But yes, when we talk of the Quad, we are talking of the allies of America. America, two allies, and India. As I said, India, I'm happy to label today as a de facto ally of America because India does not believe in alliances. It will never do alliances and it need not do alliances. a size of India and the potential that India has, why must it get in an alliance when it has opportunity in a world which is changing so fast, where the geopolitics is changing? India has options. Earlier it was only America. Today there are three great powers. There are options. So it is for India to decide where it wants to go. But it now appears that India has wholeheartedly decided, and it shows that India's foreign policy is completely aligned with America, and America is dictating things to India, which is the unfortunate part.
Unfortunate for India.
For India.
Or
For India.
fortunate for the United States of America. They still have leverage on India. Thank you very much for your insight, for your information, for your analysis. I think our viewers appreciate your view, and we will see a lot of questions as usual we have after the discussions of that kind. Dear friends of Think BRICS, you are welcome, and please subscribe to the Force Research Institute's channels on YouTube and all the social media. Thank you very much, Mr. Sawhney. Next time, I think we will see more frequently each other, and we appreciate your analysis today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.